Hi guys, welcome back. We're here with AFTV News Daily. This is a show that we're going to bring to you twice a day now over lockdown. We'll probably be doing it beyond that as well. Just chatting about some of the latest news in the world of Arsenal, and we know news is never short in the life of an Arsenal fan for our club. So the main talking point today is obviously Thomas Partey. We've had the news of a potential injury that's going to basically keep him out of the internationals, and we'll basically be chatting about that. We'll be taking your questions, and we'll be just discussing the state of our club right now. Because let's be honest, it's not looking pretty, man. I don't know about you guys. I spent a lot. Yesterday was quite kind of cathartic for me in the sense that we did quite a few shows. There's a lot of chatting about the game. There's a lot of chatting to you guys on the daily news show yesterday with Robbie and Cecil, and sorry, it's good to talk these things out. It's good to talk about the game when you talk about it and you go through the stats and you're verbally sort of trying to make your way through it. You kind of can just accept it a little better, and you just internalize it and you kind of get on with things. But I've woken up today. I'm still as deflated as I was on Sunday. I think because it's not just a defeat. It's not just a bad day at the office. It's actually just a really, really big missed opportunity. I was looking at the table now, and Leicester are top and Spurs are second. I think they're on 18 and 17. Liverpool third with 17 points as well. And I was looking at it and I was thinking, we could be on 15. We could have been on 15 points with 4 really tough games out of the way in Leicester, United, City, and Liverpool. Especially those big away grounds that we typically don't do very well at, and instead we're mid-table, but also we're looking like a mid-table team. Like, it's not just a case of it's opportunity a bad day, but we'll put a decent run together and we'll catch up. Our next games, I think, are Leeds, Wolves, and Spurs. Two of them away from home. And actually, if there's one thing we've learned, is that we don't have a home advantage anymore. So I feel really deflated. I do. I'm not going to lie. I mean, look, we'll get into some more positive stuff, guys, and we'll try and end on a high with this sort of thing. But I very much feel like it was a missed opportunity, but I'm not even relishing the return of football because I'm not even 100% sure where we're going to start picking up these points. If we can get a win at Leeds, beat Wolves at home, and somehow do something in North London derby, that would, how amazing would that feel? It'd be a bit like after Project Restart when we had, if I just remember correctly, we lost to Man City and Brighton, and we were all really down in the dumps about that. We thought, that's it, season over, nothing to look forward to. But we went on a really good run where we beat Southampton away. That turned our fortunes around. We then beat Sheffield United in the Cup. I believe we beat Norwich. We then beat Wolves away. I'm not sure if it was quite in that order, but it was around that. We put in a good performance, but drew with Leicester. And we went on a really decent run. And apart from the North London derby defeat, we beat Liverpool. And I'm thinking, if we can go on that sort of run where we're basically sitting there and thinking, I don't know where we're picking up points from, but then we somehow did, and we put in some great performances and we did really well, then yeah, we'll start to climb back up that table and feel good about the team again. Let's not forget, in the middle of all that, there was also good cup performances and cup runs, beating City and then Chelsea in the final. So maybe that defeat to Villa will be the catalyst, like the defeat to Brighton was for change. But anyway, that's my sort of opening monologue and all that. That's how I'm feeling. Still deflated, but hopeful. You've got to be. I made the point on yesterday's show that Ralph Hasenhüttl lost 9-0, didn't he? And look how he's turned their fortunes around because they backed him, and not only is he turned them into like a sturdy mid-table club, they're fourth, and they're playing some really good football and they're scoring lots of goals, and hopefully with time we'll find that right balance as well. But guys, yeah, get your comments in. We should be chatting over the next 25 minutes or so about the club, about Thomas Partey, about the situation we're in over the next few weeks. Let's talk about Thomas Partey though. So I've got the news from big up Charles Watts at goal.com. He was the one who broke a lot of the Thomas Partey rumours sort of around was it midday, 1 p.m. on deadline day, he was the one who came out and said that Arsenal were making big moves to sign him, and then all the reporters followed in. Let's not forget the AFC Bell, of course, they were at the very forefront of it as well. He's the guy who's sort of taking the lead on this news on Thomas Partey and the thigh problem he picked up against Aston Villa. Now, he had to come off at half time, so it was an injury he sort of sustained during that first half. The news is that he's going to basically be staying at Arsenal. He's not going to be travelling during the international break to play for Ghana. So he's going to have that, that time back with the club now to recover from his injury. And it's an interesting one. This is what Goal says. It says, Goal have been since been told that it's been decided that Partey will be staying at Arsenal due to the injury and will continue to receive treatment to ensure he returns to fitness as soon as possible. He will miss Ghana's 2 African Cup of Nations qualifiers with Sudan, which was games that was scheduled to be played on Thursday, the 12th of November, and Tuesday, November 17th as well. So there was a lot of football for him to be played, which he'll be missing out on now. And I suppose you can see from the title of this video, we've gone for the good and the bad. You know, it's a weird one, this, because, I mean, my God, we've got to say this. We do not wish injury on any player. And of course, we hope and we wish he could be fit enough to play all his games and basically contribute to his country, who he loves playing for, and be fit for Arsenal as well. But I do think there's a potential, I don't want to say potential opportunity, but since Partey's arrived, you forget he was playing for Atletico Madrid a lot. He had a lot of games, and then on deadline day, we signed him. I think he played the day before deadline day for Atletico. We then went and signed him, brought him in. He had his international, so he couldn't even come straight to London. He had to be away with Ghana, play his football. He then came back to join us. Was kind of not thrust straight in the team because he came on against City but didn't play. But he then played that Europa League game. He then played against Leicester, played against Man United, and played against just lost to Villa. So he's played a lot of football. And I just feel like maybe, providing and hoping that the injury isn't too serious, he can just stay in London, recover over the next couple of weeks, settle in a bit more, take it easy. Hopefully there's quite a few players that aren't on international duty. Lacazette, I don't believe, has been called up to the squad. You know, players who can just need a bit of a mental refresh. And Partey's looked great for us. I'm not saying he looks like he needs a break, but I just think with everything that's been going on, it could be a potentially good thing for us. Got a super chat here. Kirat Singh says, James, I've backed Mikel throughout. I will continue to do so, but we need to move out of the back 4 in games at home. We're wasting Oba and Pepe. Kirat, thanks. I'm going to leave that on screen for a second and just discuss that. Look, I think you make a really, really good point. I mean, when we're at home, and I know it's hard because I'm starting to question whether home advantage is even a thing now. Villa, who looked awesome against us, really, really good, got destroyed by Leeds and got destroyed by who was it? Southampton, 4-3. And I say destroyed because it was 4-0, and they sort of managed to scrape some goals back. But we're sitting here raving about how good Villa have been. Look at Man United. Man United losing their home games. I don't think they've won a single game at home yet in the league, but they beat Everton 3-1 away. And by the way, they were really good for that win. I watched the whole game. They were superb. Leicester, for all their great results, they went and lost at home to West Ham 3-0 and Villa 1-0 as well. So maybe there's just no such thing as home advantage. Maybe it's suiting teams that sit back and soak up the pressure and basically hit teams on the break with space. Maybe we'll go and beat Leeds, beat Wolves, beat Spurs, and we'll be looking at 3 wins on the bounce and suddenly trust in the process. Life's good again. And we'll have just had basically 2 poor home results that, quite frankly, everyone's been having. City haven't looked good at home. City will be disappointed they didn't beat Liverpool. That was a real opportunity for them. And they also didn't beat, who else was it? Leicester as well. They lost 5-2 at home to Leicester. So it's a weird season. And I think it'd be too soon to write off Mikel Arteta or to write anyone off. I think it's also too soon. I've been seeing articles saying, are Spurs the real deal? Could Leicester win the league? They're up there and good on them. They've had good starts, but also some of them, and I'm not just sort of being biased for Arsenal here and, obviously bringing up the Tottenham rivalry, but they've had a favourable start to the season. They've got a really tough run now. They come out of that run and they're still in a similar position to now. You've got to say we've got to be a little bit worried. But, they've also dropped points that they really wouldn't have wanted to drop. Everton at home, Newcastle at home, West Ham at home. They'll be looking at those 3 home dropped points with the same disappointment that we're looking at the Leicester and Villa performances. So it's a long way to go, guys. I'm just trying to offer a bit of perspective. Let's not get too ahead of ourselves with, Arteta out or even the other way and saying Arteta's definitely the man. He's made mistakes and he needs to go back to the drawing board and he needs to change a few things for sure. But I don't think we should run away with it yet. Let's remember we have played Liverpool and City as well. Leicester quite clearly a good team. They're top of the league. We got that Man United win, which was great. But, the Villa defeat was really disappointing. So, honestly, I think it could be a case of 65 points once again gets in the top 4, maybe even 60 points. It could be really low totals. 75 might win you the league. And 75 points didn't get Wenger top 4 when he first fell out of it back in 2017 it was. So, yeah, but look, Kira, thanks for sending that in. I think it's great to discuss all this stuff. And, this is all things that I came on this stream feeling really deflated, but actually you talk it out and you answer these questions and actually think, maybe there's more to be encouraged by. Let's go through some more questions. A Nazir says, mate, Aubameyang is playing right wing, wake up. I'm sure that might have been a comment in relation to maybe some other comments in the stream. But yeah, look, that Aubameyang playing on the right or even mainly on the left he's been playing is something, you're right, we need to wake up to it. I don't think it's working. And I don't think it's I just don't think it's the solution. If Lacazette were playing really well, I'd say fine, he's scoring goals. Let's just try and squeeze them in, but he's not. He's not playing well, and Willian's not playing well. That front 3 needs a complete shake-up. The midfield needs addressing, but that front 3 needs a shake-up as well. So, yeah, look, I agree with you there. Henok Tesfaye says, Arteta has improved the defence for sure, but there's a difference between improving the defence and being defensive. Big ups from New Zealand, James. Thank you, Henok. Thanks very much for sending that through. I couldn't agree with you more. There's a massive difference between improving the defence and being defensive, and you're spot on. When Liverpool signed Van Dijk and Alisson, and then they sort of played Joe Gomez more as a centre back, and Trent Alexander-Arnold emerged, and Robertson found form, and their back 5 just took shape, right? And they put Fabinho in the team. When they did all that, they didn't become defensive. They actually did become a little more pragmatic. There was a sense that they were not as gung-ho as they kind of were in those early years under Klopp. They were a little more conscious of what space they were leaving at the back. However, they were, how do I put it? They were still, they didn't put the handbrake on, but they were playing with just a slight bit of handbrake pressure. They weren't, and Liverpool fans will tell you that year they won the league, last season, they will tell you that actually they played better football in probably the years before. The years before they were probably, they're probably more impressive as an attacking threat, as an attacking outlet. But they were still very efficient. They still scored a lot of goals because Salah, Mane, and Firmino can be dangerous like that. But in doing all that, they sort of also tightened up at the back a bit. So I agree. You make changes maybe to your tactics and your setup because of wanting to be a bit more pragmatic and aware of the defense. But I agree, you can be better defensively without having to compromise all your attacking threat, and it looks like we are at the moment. So, Henok, thanks for sending that in from New Zealand. Glad you're enjoying the show. Thanks for tuning in. Bailey OD says, no home advantage, no fans. Yeah, I think that's a big part of it. I don't think the Emirates crowd would have accepted what we saw in that first half of the game yesterday. And as good as Villa were, I want to put this to them. Would Villa have kept coming at us if we had more energy and were more invigorated by a home crowd. If they heard a home crowd getting on our back, yeah, maybe they'd have sensed an opportunity. Look, we've had home crowds at the Emirates and still suffered terrible home defeats throughout the season. That's not unusual for us. That's not what happened against Villa. Probably the manner of it was bad, but we've had these results before. But I just wonder whether it quite would have gone that way. I think it would have. So I think that the team are benefiting at the moment from, maybe not the team in terms of results, but the team in terms of, the wrath they'd be getting from fans. They're certainly benefiting from not having him in there at the moment. I think that's for sure. So yeah, no, good question. I do think the home advantage is sapped away from us without fans, but that's for everyone. That's, I must say that while I'm saying all this, everyone is in the same boat, right? So we've got to adapt to it. Let's try take some more comments. AJ Envoy says, James, I believe at times us Arsenal folks really do jump the gun on either being too unrealistic, optimistic when we win, or too negative when we lose. AJ, I think you're spot on, mate. I think you're absolutely spot on. When we beat Man United, now I can't speak for everyone, and I probably sound like I'm covering my own back here, but the elation I had from that win was because of the rivalry between the two clubs. Obviously, the social media rivalry, the rivalry between, let's face it, two clubs that were once great clubs and are great clubs, but once achieved more than what they're achieving in the game right now. So when we beat them on their turf and we ended the 14-year curse, or 14 years, and we got one up over them after they were so confident about the Leipzig win, the Newcastle win, the PSG win, the Chelsea draw. After all that, for us to go and beat them, that felt excellent. That felt so good. That was, as a one-off individual victory, that felt brilliant. But we definitely did get ahead of ourselves a little bit. There are a lot of people talking about the brilliance of Arteta, what he's done for the club. He's done some great things. I love the guy. I love Mikel. And I do believe he's the right man. But yeah, maybe we did go a bit too far with that. But also I agree with you that after this Villa defeat, I'm still so deflated about that. And I don't expect other Arsenal fans not to be. We don't have a game to look forward to quickly turn that around and turn our fortunes around and get a W on the board and feel good about ourselves again. But with that, are we overreacting? I mean, I think you've got to look at every team this season and you can point to results that they'd be really disappointed in. Chelsea is starting to find a little bit of form, but they'll be disappointed in some of their recent performances. They're starting to find form and score goals, and credit to them. But they definitely look at 2-3 results that they're disappointed in terms of the way they've started, and it kind of goes in circles, doesn't it? Lampard was struggling, now he's found form. Solskjaer was struggling, now he's got a good win. Now it's Arteta, and it kind of just at some point it'll be Mourinho and Tottenham again. I hope anyway. So yeah, AJ, good question. I do think we can be too negative. I do think if you look across the board, every team is suffering results that they will be really disappointed in, that they'll be expecting better from themselves with. So yeah, one of those, I say one of those seasons. I don't think we've had anything quite like it. I think it's going to be, though. I think it's going to be just a weird year. And for all these Villa at home defeats, hopefully we'll get a few Man United away victories, and it'll just be one of those seasons. So guys, let's take some more comments. Owen Reeve says, it was fine playing over left wing last season because he was scoring, but this season he isn't. We need him down the middle at least until we get some form back and start scoring goals. Yeah, Owen, it's thanks for your comment. Aubameyang on the left's a really funny one, because when Arteta says it's been working for so long, why he was scoring goals, why suddenly change it? I get it, but that's because we had a tactical setup that was new, that was different. This idea of Lacazette dropping deep, Aubameyang and Pepe, or yeah, it was Pepe at the time, playing quite central. We had Maitland-Niles sort of playing as that left wing back who came inside and whatever. You know, it was a new system, and teams weren't wise to it, but now they are. And the proof is in what Man City did to us. They literally play 2 right backs because they said if you stop Saka and Aubameyang, they've got no threat. And our best chance of that game came from those 2 players. And you know, it's true. It's, you know, it's been found out. Teams have worked it out. So I agree with you. I think we need to get him down the middle again. But that's not just. I don't just want Aubameyang down the middle because I want him scoring goals again. There's 2 other things I want from this. I want Lacazette to have some time away. I think he needs a rest. And I'm a big fan of Lacazette's, but it's not happening for him at the moment. And I think we can just all be man enough and say it. I think he can say it. It's not really working right now. So just give him some time away from the team. He'll recuperate his energy, you know, recuperate his mindset, and just come back to it in a good place. But the other thing I want is I want some proper creativity and dribbling, driving threat down our wings. Pepe, Nelson, Martinelli when he returns, Saka, they can all offer these things. Players who can carry the ball, they can either get in behind or they can come short and try and make things happen. And I think we lack that from our wings as well. Willian is certainly not doing it from the right. I'd like to see Willian on the left, see if he could do any better. I do think that would suit him more, but yeah, he's not doing anything at the moment. And then Aubameyang is struggling, but that's not his game plan either. So I say his game plan, that's not the way he plays the game. So yeah, I feel sorry for. Look, thanks for the comment, but I agree. I think we need Aubameyang down the middle, but for many reasons than just trying to help him find form. I think there's a lot that can be addressed by just having him as our number 9. Another interesting one here. I think this is replying to what I was saying about Klopp earlier. Asim Mahmood says it wasn't a handbrake for Klopp. He just tweaked his philosophy, became a more all-rounded team. If Arteta wants to play like Liverpool, he needs world-class fullbacks, especially playing with 3 DMs. Asim, yeah, you're spot on. You're right. You've articulated better what I was sort of essentially trying to say. You're right. It wasn't really a handbrake. It was he just tweaked things tactically with the personnel he had as well to improve them defensively, and suddenly there were rocks at the back. You couldn't score against them. Klopp's done a superb job there. And you're right, if we're going to play 3 DM, so if you're going to have Partey, Xhaka, Ceballos, who none of them are 10s, none of them are creative midfielders, Ceballos can be, but not really, then you need more from Tierney and Bellerin. Now, I think Tierney can provide that. I think Bellerin can, but he's not like Trent or, dare I say, Reece James, players who have a lot of silk and skill in the final third and a real delivery and they're almost like athletic midfielders who have just been told to do a job at fullback and they're doing it superbly. Bellerin doesn't quite fit that mold, but I do still think he can offer us a lot. So look, thanks for the comment. Yeah, I completely agree. This is a very interesting comment. Yeah, Willian just seems lost. I agree. Sorry, Ray 706. Yeah. You can see the number there. Yeah, he does seem lost. And look, Willian's funny, right? I don't feel sorry for him. He's on big money. I'm not sure he really earned himself over the last few years a move to another big club, although I'm going to hear people say that we're not a big club. But he played well at the end of last season, and I just think maybe he's struggling because I know he played out on the right for Chelsea, but it was kind of a different system. He was more central. He was picking the ball in more central areas, and Chelsea have always been good at doing that with their wingers. Pulisic was the same. Pedro, Hazard when they had him. At the moment, he is quite wide in a system that's very instructed by Arteta, and I just think he'd benefit more from playing down the middle or out on the left. But yeah. Anyway, another interesting comment. Randy Viper, we played better with Saka bench last season. Randy, that's not a totally incorrect point. I want to disagree with you and say, come on, Saka's been one of our better players, but you are right that we're sort of, I wouldn't say we're accommodating Saka, but we are playing him in a position that essentially Saka knows best, where basically he's playing left back when we don't have the ball, and then when we're kind of in field, he'll play as a sort of left wing back, but sometimes come inside. And then when Tierney's bombed on down the left, he's basically a central midfielder, Saka. So he's kind of playing this hybrid of positions. And the reason we're playing him is because he does it best. But we need to move away from the system. It doesn't work anymore. It worked. It was a short-term fix, a bit like Ollie's diamond, which worked for like a game or two. You know, it worked briefly because it was different and teams weren't ready for it. And they caught, you know, and also they were underdogs in those games against Leipzig. And I don't know if they played the diamond against PSG, maybe in the second half, but you know, that kind of worked in the short term. And that's the same for us. You know, this system we've been playing worked in the short term while we needed to find a way to beat teams like Liverpool, Chelsea, at Wembley, away from home where we have a poor record. You know, all these things. It was a system that worked. I'd like to see Saka in a proper front three and a proper balanced 11 now. Hussein Lowell asks what happened to Partey. Yeah, let's just recap that news, guys. That's what we've been talking about today. Thigh problem, so he came off at half-time against Leicester. It was an injury that forced the change. I wonder if Sabas would have come on anyway, maybe for El Neni. We weren't great in the first half, but we were much worse in the second, and we definitely lacked something when Partey came off. He's not going to be travelling with Ghana to play their international fixtures. He'll be staying with Arsenal, be staying with the club, which we discussed. Yeah, let me know, guys. Is that, look, it's not good news that he's got an injury. Of course it's not. But as I mentioned before, I'll just rattle off those bullet points again. You know, the fact that we're talking about a guy who has had a lot of travelling, was playing for Atletico, then had to go straight to Ghana, then came to us all in the middle of having a medical and trying to sign last minute for his dream club, as he said himself. And then having to, you know, come back, comes off the bench against City, you know, travelled obviously to Manchester with the team for that, then travelled for the Vienna game, made his debut there, then plays in the Leicester game, which was a disappointing defeat, plays at Man United, another physically demanding game, and then the Villa performance where he gets injured, and you're thinking, do we need him off and travelling again? So all these things, I think, you know, they what's the word? They suggest to me that maybe it's nothing too serious. He's going to recover in a couple of days to a week. You know, maybe it's not the worst thing that he's taken a bit of time from the squad, but you know, of course, we wish him a speedy recovery and hope he's fit to play against Leeds because we're going to need him. Abdi Siraj says, James, you're wrong about Saka. Saka is an excellent amateur footballer, not pro. Over Goldurth is because Saka behind him or in front of him or okay. I disagree. I think Saka's looked brilliant. I think if there's one thing he is, it's an absolute model pro. Thanks for the comment, and look, everyone's entitled to their opinion and it's good to discuss it, but I think excellent amateur footballer, I don't think that's fair. I think he's very young, he's very raw, he's got a lot of learning to do. But when I watch him, my biggest compliment of him as an attribute is his maturity. Yes, he can get the ball and beat a couple men, and he can put the ball into the box, and he can look dangerous, and he can link defense to attack. He does those things well. But my favorite thing about him is his maturity. When he's got the ball, he's very safe with it. He looks after it well. He moves into good positions, and he can, if the pass isn't on, he can protect the ball. He can beat a man until there's a better angle for him. Or if there needs to be a quick pass, he will actually make it. You know, Saka's got very mature qualities about him, and that's what I've been most impressed. He's able to play left back, left wing back, centre mid, left wing and right wing, all in the space of a few months. He's been excellent. I definitely see the argument that we played some of our best football last year when Saka wasn't in the 11. But I think that's just quick. I don't think Saka is weakening the team. Remember, he started in the game at Wolves, scored that excellent goal, and we went and won 2-0. That was considered a brilliant, you know, performance and a brilliant victory. It was also part of that great first half performance against Leicester where we drew 1-1 back in Project Restart. He looked really good in that. So I'm not sure Saka's the problem whatsoever. I don't think he's the answer to all our problems, but he's definitely not the problem. He's looked brilliant. I'd say one of our players of the season. Let's take a couple more comments before we end the stream. Yeah, no worries, bro. Interesting one here. So the last one before we wrap up, Arjun77. If we had Giroud instead of signing Paul Lacazette, we'd be scoring all those missed crosses since Giroud is aerially too good. Yeah, look, but if we had Giroud, we wouldn't have Aubameyang. That was part of the deal. People need to remember this. We signed Lacazette and kept Giroud. We had that plan B. We played Leicester in the opening game of the season, 17-18 season. Lacazette scored that header. When was it? Like 3 minutes into the game. He started the game, debuted, scored that goal, superb header. Yeah, where's that Lacazette? God, I missed that Lacazette. He was superb. And we then brought on Giroud, who saved us. 2 points and won us the game. Took all 3, and he was an excellent super sub in that sense. But to get Aubameyang, we had to sell Giroud. That's the reality of it. Yeah, we'd love a Giroud to bring on right now in games where we need a goal or we need to pin teams back, because that's what Giroud did really well. He ensured that teams were pinned back because he was strong and he was aerially very good. He could win the ball and knock it down into our midfield, or you could play 1-2s off him, or you could get in that area in those tricky tight spaces. Giroud was excellent at all that. But look, he's gone. He's been good for a while. Don't think we need to be thinking about him now. And we wouldn't have Aubameyang, and quite frankly, I'd much rather Aubameyang than Giroud for all the good Giroud did. And there was some bad. He wasn't perfect by any means. I'm definitely happy with our striking duo at the moment, but maybe we do need a different dimension up there as well. So, guys, look, that wraps up the AFTV News Daily, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. Let's just get rid of this comment. Where's it gone? Yeah, oh, can't find it anyway. Thanks very much for getting your comments in, guys. It's been good to chat. And I actually, it's weird. I started this stream saying how disappointed I was, and then actually realised, well, there's 30 games to go. 30 games. That's a long time. We're only 8 in. And actually, when you look at our weird results, the ones that are making us really sort of lose our head, and I understand why. I think you can look at every other club, and they'll be in a very similar position. Everton, 3 defeats was it? Southampton, Newcastle, and now who did they last lose to? Man United. They wouldn't have wanted to lost any of those games. Villa, Leicester, Liverpool, Man City. Tottenham haven't so much lost games, but they've dropped points they shouldn't have. Man United for sure. Chelsea, they're finding a little bit of form, but yeah, they'll look back at some disappointing dropped points. So I think we can look back on this. We can look back now. We start to look back at some of these poor results and think, if they're the moments that spark a change in system for Arteta and spark a rethink and can basically get the team back on track, maybe we'll reap the rewards of it. But very kind. Thank you very much for that comment. Very sweet. Guys, thanks for joining me. Thanks for chatting about this all. And yeah, just to recap the big news, Thomas Partey not going on international duty. Shame for him, shame for Ghana. But is it maybe, if it's nothing too serious, is it maybe a slight blessing for Arsenal? Maybe. I think he definitely needs some time in London just to chill and relax. But guys, yeah, thanks very much for tuning in. We'll be back. I believe Robbie's back tonight at around, I believe it's 7 o'clock. Let me check that. But he's on tonight for another news show. Yes, he's on at 7. So tune in to chat to Robbie about whatever news is going to break today, because as I said, it's never a quiet day in the Arsenal.